In our hyper-connected, fast-paced world, boredom is often treated as a psychological failure. We treat an empty moment as a vacancy that must immediately be filled, swiping, scrolling, or listening to a podcast just to avoid being alone with our thoughts. Yet both neuroscience and psychology reveal a fascinating paradox. Boredom is not the enemy of creativity, it is its gateway. Far from being a useless, empty void, boredom acts as an evolutionary alarm system and a psychological catalyst. When external stimuli dry up, the brain does not shut down. Instead, it turns inward, activating complex neural pathways that drive us to innovate, problem solve, and create. To understand how boredom sparks creativity, we have to look at what happens under the hood. When we are actively engaged in a task, like writing code, calculating taxes, or replying to an email, our brain utilizes the executive control network, ECN. This network keeps us focused, analytical, and goal-oriented. However, when we enter a state of monotony or understimulation boredom, the ECN steps back and a different neural web lights up. The default mode network, DMN, is a deeply interconnected system of brain regions, primarily including the medial prefrontal cortex, posterior cingulate cortex, and angular gyrus. It activates when we are doing nothing, daydreaming, letting our minds wander, or performing a mindless, repetitive task. When the DMN is active, the brain begins to consolidate memories, process past experiences, and construct future scenarios. Because there is no immediate external task demanding linear logic, the brain starts connecting seemingly unrelated concepts. It plays with ideas, tests hypothetical situations, and synthesizes memories. This is why your absolute best ideas rarely strike while you are staring intensely at a blank document. They hit you in the shower while folding laundry or on a long, quiet walk. Your DMN was finally allowed to take the wheel. Psychologically, boredom is defined as a search for neural stimulation that isn't satisfied. It is a deeply uncomfortable feeling marked by a drop in dopamine. Humans are wired to seek meaning and engagement. When a situation lacks both, the brain registers this understimulation almost like stress. It screams, "Change this. Find something interesting." This discomfort is precisely what makes boredom a catalyst. It acts as a transitional state that pushes us from passivity into action. In psychology, divergent thinking is the ability to generate creative ideas by exploring many possible solutions. Research shows that people subjected to highly boring tasks, like reading a phone book or sorting beans, perform significantly better on subsequent divergent thinking tests than those who spent that time doing engaging creative work. Constant stimulation clutters our working memory. Boredom serves as a cognitive reset. It sweeps away immediate task-related anxieties and creates the quiet mental space required for original, self-directed thoughts to take root. The relationship between boredom and creativity has never been more fragile than it is today. Historically, a person standing in a long line, sitting on a train, or walking home had no choice but to be bored. Their minds naturally wandered into daydreams. Today, we carry high-powered dopamine delivery systems in our pockets. The moment a micro moment of boredom threatens to surface, we instinctively pull out our phones. By constantly feeding our brains bite-sized, low-effort digital stimulation, social feeds, short videos, notifications, we bypass the discomfort of boredom. But in doing so, we also bypass the DMN activation that leads to deep, original creative thought. We swap long-term, high-value creative insights for short-term, low-value distraction. If we never allow ourselves to feel understimulated, we deny our brains the motivation to build its own internal entertainment. Over time, this digital overstimulation can lead to creative stagnation and cognitive fatigue. To utilize boredom as a creative asset, you do not need to sit staring at a wall for hours. Instead, you can deliberately design low stimulation zones in your daily routine. Do the dishes, fold laundry, or weed the garden without background audio, no podcasts, no music. Frees the ECN and allows the DMN to take over, sparking associative thinking. Walk or ride public transit without looking at your phone or wearing headphones. Encourages active observation of your environment, leading to unexpected insights. When stuck on a hard problem, step away from your screen and sit quietly for 10 to 15 minutes. Allows the brain's idle mode to run background diagnostics on the problem. By actively tolerating and even inviting short periods of understimulation, we give our minds the quiet, spacious, and unstructured time they desperately need to turn dull moments into brilliant breakthroughs.